And that what in fact happened was Justin didn't harass Blake. Blake was interested in wresting control of this movie away from Justin, who was the director and the producer. She was just an actress in it.
The celebrities are gossiping about drama amid Baldoni.
They used to be the envy of Hollywood. The charismatic Justin Baldoni on one side, the powerful duo of Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds on the other. Their social media posts exuded warmth. Their joint appearances suggested unbreakable bonds. Then, something went very wrong. A shroud of allegations and counter-allegations now hangs over them like a dark cloud that refuses to dissipate. None of us saw it coming when Blake Lively accused Justin Baldoni of misconduct on the set of It Ends With Us, a film adaptation that was supposed to be the talk of the town for its raw portrayal of domestic struggles. Instead, it became the talk of the town for lawsuits, canceled deals, and shattered reputations. Yet rumors are swirling that maybe Justin Baldoni wasn't the one who crossed the line. Could Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds be pulling the strings for their own benefit? Was there more going on behind the scenes than anyone let on? Keep watching, because this story has become bigger and darker than a simple case of she said. We're about to break it all down. From the once blossoming bromance between Ryan and Justin, to the allegations that tore them apart, and the staggering lawsuits that now threaten to topple careers left and right. Brace yourself for a deep dive into a Hollywood feud so tangled that even the biggest insiders can't tell who's telling the truth anymore. But be warned, every new piece of information raises more questions, and by the end, you might discover that this story is far from over. Let's step right into the heart of the storm. Justin Baldoni and Ryan Reynolds used to be the poster boys for Hollywood harmony. They joked together on red carpets, championed each other's projects at charity events, and occasionally clinked glasses at exclusive after-parties. Blake Lively, too, seemed to share a friendly rapport with Justin. Everything suggested a cozy triumvirate of star power. The world first took note when Ryan, famous for his wry wit, teased Justin during a fundraiser. Onlookers described the banter as lighthearted. Photographers captured the two hugging, cracking jokes and brimming with comedic chemistry. For a brief moment, fans even speculated about a future collaboration, maybe a comedic buddy flick or an inspiring documentary. While paparazzi photos often paint illusions, these three had, by all accounts, a genuine bond. Blake Lively's sharp social media presence occasionally collided with Justin's heartfelt activism, creating a mosaic of comedic yet sincere interactions. In an era when showbiz friendships tend to be fleeting, observers were impressed by how natural it all looked. So, how did we get from that friendly environment to a courtroom face-off? The short answer, a movie project that should have catapulted them all into new realms of success. The longer answer, behind the scenes, creative control issues and personal ambitions apparently simmered, waiting to erupt. Some say the turning point occurred when Blake Lively joined It Ends With Us, a film directed and produced by Baldoni. Although this was an adaptation of Colleen Hoover's best-selling novel, no one quite expected the drama swirling around it to overshadow the entire production. And yet, that is precisely what happened. So far, so standard in Hollywood, conflict rise, but nothing screams doom right away. Except in this case, rumors began circulating about arguments, heated text exchanges, and mounting tensions between the three. Then the big news dropped, a harassment lawsuit. That moment became the line in the sand, transforming old pals into bitter enemies. A once delightful trifecta turned into the ultimate tabloids fodder. What started as showbiz camaraderie spiraled into a volatile saga that still captivates fans and critics alike. But the lawsuit was only the beginning. Wait until you see the allegations that launched this legal roller coaster into the stratosphere. It's December 2024. Holiday cheer is in the air. Bright lights, red carpets, and everyone wrapping up the year with sweet little Instagram recaps. Then, out of nowhere, Blake Lively files a lawsuit against Justin Baldoni, claiming he engaged in inappropriate, harassing behavior on set. At first, the general public reeled in shock. Blake Lively has a potent brand, the charming girl next dower, who balances maternal instincts with star power. For her to step forward with such a serious accusation was monumental. The reaction online was swift. Fans demanded accountability. The hashtag #JarkStandWithBlake started trending. Industry. Players quietly whispered about what this might mean for Justin's rising star. Ryan Reynolds, never one to stand on the sidelines, sprang into action. Whispers emerged of an explosive encounter in Ryan's Manhattan penthouse, where Justin allegedly found himself insulted and belittled in front of a cluster of big-name guests, including Taylor Swift. Ryan's fury, according to multiple insider accounts, was so severe that even seasoned onlookers felt a chill. The tension escalated when the New York Times published a piece detailing Blake's allegations, repeating claims of Justin's questionable behavior during filming. That story ignited a media frenzy. Soon, word spread that multiple production companies were rethinking their relationships with Baldoni. With his name suddenly toxic, major agencies like the world-renowned William Morris began reconsidering their professional ties with him. To the untrained eye, it looked like Justin was cornered. Who, after all, wants to side with a man alleged to have harassed America's sweetheart? In an industry newly vigilant about misconduct, few people were eager to attach themselves to a potential PR nightmare. Many believed that was the end of Justin's career. But behind the scenes, Justin Baldoni was preparing a counterstrike. Close allies say he was furious, convinced Blake and Ryan were orchestrating a calculated move to wrest creative control from him. He stayed mostly silent at first, letting the court speak for him. Quietly, he and his lawyer, Brian Friedman, readied a countersuit that aimed to flip the narrative on its head. Nobody could guess how huge this countersuit would come. Few realized the dark turn these once-friendly relationships would take. Fewer still expected the birth scene fiasco to become a key point in both lawsuits, or that it would tear Hollywood alliances apart. But the real showstopper was just around the corner, an on-set moment that would drive accusations and counters louder than anyone expected. Among the countless claims swirling around, one storyline emerged as particularly sensational. People simply called it the birth scene. It was supposed to be a pivotal moment in It Ends With Us, exploring heartbreak, vulnerability, and raw emotion. Instead, it became the spark for allegations that continue to rage. By most accounts, the scene featured Blake Lively's character in the throes of labor. Enter Adam Mashine, an actor and longtime friend of Justin Baldoni, whose character needed to be physically close to Blake for a realistic depiction of childbirth. This positioning was, apparently, clear to everyone well in advance. Script note indicated it, and production staff had set up the environment accordingly. No big deal, right? Not at first. Everyone on set understood they were making a film about intimate, sometimes uncomfortable realities. Blake seemed fine during shooting, as multiple behind-the-scenes witnesses later claimed. The official footage shows a cast and crew dedicated to authenticity, with Machine offering support and comedic levity to keep the mood light. Then came the bombshell. In her lawsuit, Blake portrayed this birth scene as one of the prime examples of Justin's harassment. She painted it as invasive, humiliating, and orchestrated to make her feel unsafe. She singled out Mashine, calling him a close friend of Justin whose presence was unnecessary and grossly uncomfortable. In response, Mashine spoke to reporters, shock radiating from every quote. He insisted Blake was fully clothed, wearing black shorts, a hospital gown, and a prosthetic torso. He mentioned how a crowd of production staff hovered within mere feet, ensuring that nothing unscripted or unsavory took place. Then came the revelation that Blake herself had approved the scene during pre-production. If everything was pre-approved, what changed? Did legitimate discomfort suddenly arise, or was it a strategic tactic to bolster her lawsuit? The debate raged in columns and talk shows. Meanwhile, the behind-the-scenes footage Justin released painted a different picture. Some glimpses allegedly show Blake and Justin smiling, chatting, even hugging after that scene's final take. Celebrity. Commentators Candace Owens and Megyn Kelly jumped in, dissecting these videos frame by frame, trying to discern truth from spin. The argument from Justin's team was bold. They claimed Blake revisited the birth scene only once she discovered that Adam Mashine was Justin's personal friend. That detail, they suggested, provided her with a dramatic angle to ramp up her allegations. A cunning move if you believe Justin's version of events. Ultimately, this infamous scene became a symbol. Was it a genuine case of on-set misconduct? Or was it a pretext for something else entirely, setting the stage for an elaborate campaign to dethrone Justin from his own project? Up next is the PR blitz that flooded headlines and set the internet ablaze, turning a disturbing on-set tale into a full-fledged Hollywood war. Blake and Ryan had a powerful advantage. They were an A-list couple. Their combined star wattage and formidable connections meant they could amplify a narrative swiftly, capturing the attention of tabloids, mainstream press, and social media at large. To many casual observers, the story was simple. A well-known actress harassed by an overbearing director. Case closed. But behind the scenes, Justin Baldoni refused to stay silent. Rumors suggest he gathered stacks of evidence, text messages, emails, voice memos, to prove the set had been professional. Even more damaging were potential leaks of conversations implying that Blake and Ryan sought to commandeer creative control. Some circulated the theory that Blake was aiming to eclipse other actresses like Margot Robbie and Scarlett Johansson by leveraging the power of a scandal. Then came the $400 million countersuit from Justin. That astronomical figure jolted everyone. It was no longer a fight for job security or brand image. It became a fight for survival. If the court sided with Justin, Blake and Ryan could face catastrophic financial and reputational losses, effectively relegating them to Hollywood exiles. Ryan Reynolds, known for quick comedic quips, now found himself recast as an aggressor who allegedly insulted Justin in his Manhattan penthouse. Insiders claimed he used savage words, labeling Justin deranged and pushing major studios to drop him. Ryan's comedic charm helped him sway public opinion, until the entire plan blew up and turned sympathy back toward Justin. Meanwhile, the New York Times piece that initially supported Blake's stance faced a defamation countersuit from Justin. The Times responded with its own legal maneuvers, setting off a cascade of lawyering that made even seasoned entertainment attorneys wince. The press smelled blood, reporting every minor development with breathless headlines. Fans took sides. Team Lively. And Reynolds faced off against Ear Justice for Justin. Online communities dissected every new document. Live streams poured over court motions while social media bristled with conspiracies. Some believed Justin was the real victim, a creative forced out of his own domain. Others doubled down on the notion that Blake was bravely calling out wrongdoing. Caught in the middle was the film itself, It Ends With Us, a once promising project that now looked radioactive. Sponsors hesitated. Marketing plans stalled. Even author Colleen Hoover distanced herself from the fiasco, quietly scrubbing her social media of references to the production. By now, the public realized this wasn't a minor showbiz squabble. The unstoppable forces of star power had collided with immovable claims of wrongdoing, forging a crisis that threatened to engulf everyone. And just when it seemed like the situation couldn't get more catastrophic, Hollywood's big players decided to weigh in. You won't believe how the rest of Tinseltown reacted and what it meant for Blake and Ryan's future in an industry that was once their loyal kingdom. Hollywood can be fickle. One day you're beloved, the next you're on thin ice. For years, Blake and Ryan reigned as a golden couple, glowing red carpet appearances, stacked career successes, and a tight-knit circle of famous friends. And then, in what felt like the blink of an eye, that shimmering facade started to collapse. Industry insiders whispered that big studios saw them as a liability. Numerous producers and directors quietly blacklisted the pair, not wanting to invite drama or overshadow a film's actual content with legal chaos. Casting agents, who once clamored to get Ryan or Blake attached to projects, took a cautious step back. Red carpet events told their own story. At the Saturday Night Live 50th anniversary, a location typically brimming with star-studded camaraderie, Blake and Ryan's presence reportedly elicited uncomfortable hushes. Multiple A-list celebrities were said to sideline them, offering distant smiles or, in some cases, ignoring them entirely. Rumor has it that an inner circle of Hollywood elites openly questioned why the two even showed up, given the swirl of negative headlines. Simultaneously, brand endorsements faced serious reevaluation. Would you want your product linked to what was unfolding? One marketing executive admitted off the record that the couple's legal battles and public feuds were too large a risk. Sure, controversy can sometimes boost interest, but not when sexual harassment lawsuits and defamation suits hog the headlines. At the same time, Justin Baldoni found unexpected allies. Some in the industry sympathized with him, believing the entire fiasco was orchestrated to oust him from a project he built. Others had faced their own creative battles with controlling stars and recognized a pattern. Even the talk show circuit started showing him cautious support, describing him as the man behind the countersuit that might shake Hollywood's power dynamics. Blake and Ryan found themselves in a precarious position. They still had fans, millions in fact, and a strong brand presence. But the unwavering adoration was cracking. Skeptics pointed out inconsistencies in Blake's statements about the birth scene. Others accused Ryan of losing that comedic spark and turning into a man driven by anger, control, or simply misguided loyalty to his wife's cause. It was a stark shift. Hollywood, once their playground, had turned into a tense environment where every move, every comment, every public appearance felt like a risk. Could they bounce back? Possibly. But they'd need an airtight plan, and more importantly, a tide-turning piece of evidence or a clarifying statement that cleansed their reputations. But as the walls closed in, the reaction from close friends, people like Taylor Swift, revealed a brand new layer of heartbreak in this ongoing saga. Blake Lively didn't just have a star-studded career, she had A-list besties. The most famous among them? Taylor Swift, pop music titan, known for her close-knit friendships with top-tier Hollywood actors and actresses. Taylor was often seen with Blake and Ryan, celebrating holidays, cameoing in each other's social media, posts, and even referencing each other in public statements. Swift's fans adored the trifecta, joking that the day could come when Ryan made a cameo in one of her music videos. But behind the scenes, sources say Taylor found herself caught between loyalty and discomfort. Allegedly, she'd been present during that infamous Manhattan penthouse run-in between Ryan and Justin. She'd heard the heated words. She watched the tension swell. And after a while, it seems Taylor quietly stepped back. Insiders note that Taylor's pragmatic approach to preserving her own brand might have kicked in. She was in the midst of her own tours, albums, and public scrutiny. The last thing she needed was to be tethered to someone else's legal meltdown. So, quietly, Swift began creating distance. She rarely liked or commented on Blake's posts. She evaded questions about Ryan's comedic cameo in any event. Meanwhile, Colleen Hoover, the author behind It Ends With Us, removed past photos and references to Lively. Overnight, fans noticed that her feed was scrubbed clean of anything tying her to the actress. The reason? A swirl of speculation. Some think Hoover blamed Blake for overshadowing the adaptation with scandal. Others believe she just wanted to protect her intellectual property from further association with a legal hurricane. That once tight it girl circle that included actresses, models, and pop stars grew strangely silent. Where once you could see glamorous group shots with hashtags about squad goals, now there was nothing. The hush felt deafening. Sure, no big announcements or statements declared that Lively had been excommunicated. But as the saying goes, sometimes silence speaks volumes. Ryan, for his part, began to angle himself as a solitary figure, occasionally seen at airports or quiet business lunches without Blake by his side. Entertainment outlets buzzed with theories that the once inseparable couple was employing a divide-and-conquer approach to salvage each of their images. That might have worked for a while, but every day, new lawsuit updates spilled out. A-listers, who once sang the pair's praises, abruptly changed the subject. It was as though an unspoken consensus had formed. Fraternizing with them might be too risky until the dust settled. Blake tried to lean on a few loyal girlfriends, perhaps scheduling brunches or gossip sessions behind the scenes. But trust was eroding fast. Nobody wanted to be next in line for a lawsuit or scandal if something else blew up. As personal bonds frayed and the couple's world grew smaller, the pressure built. What happened when regret set in, and each realized the lawsuit might become the biggest mistake of their careers? At some point, it all became too much, even for an ultra-famous couple accustomed to paparazzi scrutiny. Blake Lively, known for her warm smile and glossy persona, started looking tense in public photos. A certain fatigue draped over her once-celebrated style. If the rumor mill is accurate, she spent nights poring over legal documents, conferring with crisis PR teams, and debating her next moves. Then came the horse event sightings. In a carefully orchestrated PR attempt to appear grounded and relatable, Blake was photographed at a countryside horse show with one of her daughters. There she was, sporting a casual outfit and a look of maternal devotion, as if to say, "See, I'm just like any other mom, living life beyond the tabloids." But cynics saw right through it, labeling it a photo op to gain sympathy. Meanwhile, Ryan Reynolds, typically the comedic showman, dialed back his usual witty jabs. Gone were the playful barbs that typically sparked viral tweets. Instead, he posted subdued snapshots of himself traveling, always alone, clad in understated clothing and wearing an almost somber expression. He wanted to convey humility, perhaps even vulnerability. Was this genuine remorse or just strategic marketing? Behind closed doors, the couple faced a crushing reality. The $400 million countersuit loomed over their finances like a thundercloud. Even if they didn't ultimately lose the full amount, the legal fees alone could bleed them for years. Their brand partnerships showed signs of instability. Casting directors weren't returning calls. Social circles had shrunk, with only a small band of loyal supporters remaining. Friends whispered that Blake privately admitted to regretting the lawsuit. She allegedly told confidants that she had never intended to spark such a destructive feud, only to highlight genuine concerns she felt on set. But once Ryan joined the fray, the conflict escalated to a scale that even she hadn't foreseen. Ryan, for his part, reportedly yearned for the simple days. The old banter with Justin, the nights spent brainstorming comedic sketches, the philanthropic events that once had them standing side by side all seemed a lifetime away. Some say he tried to broker a truce, only to find that Justin's camp wanted a public apology, and a big one at that. Things spiraled so out of control that the couple filed motions to dismiss Justin's countersuit, calling it a revenge tactic rather than a legitimate claim. They demanded attorney's fees, punitive damages, anything the court might allow to neutralize Justin's threat. Ironically, from the outside, it looked just as vengeful as the countersuit itself. But the legal battle was far from wrapping up. In fact, the biggest bombshells were yet to come, as Justin's lawyer unleashed a torrent of evidence casting Ryan as a direct conspirator, not just a bystander. Justin Baldoni's attorney, Brian Friedman, tore into Ryan's motions to dismiss with unrelenting zeal. Where Ryan claimed he was merely defending his wife, Friedman argued that the star had gone far beyond moral support. He'd orchestrated phone calls, threatened collaborations, and tarnished Baldoni's image with words like deranged predator. This wasn't casual spousal loyalty, they asserted. It was a coordinated character assassination. Ryan's side tried to paint a picture of an unwilling participant roped into something bigger than himself. Yet the evidence told another story. Emails, text messages, perhaps even recorded conversations, hard data, if legitimate, threatened to expose Ryan's behind-the-scenes maneuvering. The push and pull was mesmerizing, each side hurling documents at the other. At one point, Justin's team argued that by defaming him, Ryan had interfered with prospective economic deals. If a jury found that Reynolds intentionally sabotaged Justin's standing in Hollywood, the financial damages could skyrocket. So Ryan's lawyers swiftly pivoted, downplaying any contractual obligations or duties he had in the film. The end goal? Avoid liability at all costs. Meanwhile, inside Hollywood, the couple's star power dimmed. Production companies weighed whether to keep them on rosters. Agents worried if their next project could overshadow the negative press. The uncertainty was stifling. Throughout it all, fans watching from the sidelines asked, who's telling the truth? On one side, you have an actress claiming to have been humiliated and harmed on set. On the other, a director insisting he's the target of a carefully orchestrated takedown by a powerful couple. It's not a simple matter of picking sides anymore. The allegations have grown so complex and layered that the line between fact and fiction is painfully blurred. Blake and Ryan still cling to the hope that their motion to dismiss will prevail, obliterating Justin's monstrous countersuit. But Justin shows no sign of letting this go quietly. If anything, he's ramping up the intensity, determined to restore his name and career. Each new court date brings fresh revelations, each leak fueling a media circus that relentlessly picks apart every detail. There's no guarantee of a clean resolution. This feud has shattered friendships, upended reputations, and left a million-dollar question mark hanging over all involved. Is redemption even possible when a scandal goes this far? A single lawsuit can spiral into a saga no one can fully control.